Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths, and what is a quick showcase slash guide on one of my new favorite things to build in From the Depths, Zeppelins, or blimps I guess you could call them. It's rather hard to tell the difference in this game. So what is the definition of a Zeppelin or blimp in the From the Depths context? Like real life only has passing similarity in what you get up to in this game, so my definition is something that floats or flies due primarily to helium pumps. So if you're wondering where you find the helium pump, you find it over there. It fills a space with helium. If there is a leak, it leaks out and it will fail to float. So in no particular order, I'm going to show you three little blimps slash zeppelins I've made and how they all kind of have the same basic structure. By the way, by no means is this the only way to make a blimp or zeppelin. This is just the method that I've stumbled on. I really like it because it's very simple. And yeah, we're just going to go with that. So, this is a cargo blimp. And one of the great things, well, there's a number of things I love about this thing. Firstly, eyes and a mouth, just for absolutely no reason. It looks actually like it has lipstick. It's like eating too much cranberry sauce. But number of fun things. Firstly, it's incredibly cheap. This thing is less than 4,000 materials in total. This thing carries over 80,000 materials, so it can ship things around like no one's business. And it's very light because the construction is primarily wood beam slopes. So you go in here, you'll see there's actually not a single wooden beam in the construction of this thing. It's just half slopes, which is very convenient because those are half the weight of a regular wooden beam. This thing is not actually ever intended to get shot at, which is why it has all these. It's just made entirely of slopes. Fun thing to try out. And also it's sail powered, so this thing doesn't have any engine power whatsoever, and it doesn't need any because it's just got these big sails on the top and on the bottom. This is something I've explored in a previous video, talking about sail-powered ships and airships. And if you haven't tried making one of those, I highly recommend it because it's actually a really convenient way to get something moving at roughly 40 to 50 meters per second and with basically no engine power whatsoever. So this thing trots along at actually quite a speed. Once it gets up to speed, once it gets up to the correct orientation of the wind, it goes at around 46 meters per second. Once it's pointing into the wind, and it's just creeping up, as all the sails are completely unfurled. There we go, we're accelerating, and we've got a, not incredibly fast, but very, very cheap cargo thingy that requires absolutely no power, and it can go places, and it's very, very nice. So, the height I'm seeming to get with these airships, Zeppelins, blimps, whatever, seems to be at around 270 meters. I'm not exactly sure what the 1-to-1 ratio is. I think it depends both on how heavy the thing is, so you want to make these things as light as possible, but also how much volume it has. So you want a lot of empty space. And to go over the construction of this, and I just remembered I don't remember how to do the thingy, which is very, very handy. Let's turn that off, and here. So this is lots of compartments. It's got the central compartment in here. This is essentially a box with extra boxes loaded around it. So what it looks like is like you've got the central compartment here where all the fun stuff is, including the AI. This thing doesn't need anything more than an AI because it doesn't have weapons or anything like that. Big compartment here, lots of space for helium. It's got a secondary compartment on the side here, which also has a helium pump in it. Same over there. It's got a top compartment that also has a helium pump in it. And then it has a bottom compartment down here, which does not have a helium pump. So this is important for a number of reasons. Actually, no, it does have a helium pump compartment. Well, damn it. It's a good idea that if you're going to have a Zeppelin of some kind, it's just the compartments which are most likely to get breached, perhaps don't bother sticking helium pumps in them unless you really need them, because, you know, if it gets a hole poked into it, the helium leaks out, and then the whole thing, well, just kind of falls out of the sky, and that's no good. And then you have extra helium pumps back here, And it's got little fins, which are hilarious, which have decoration on them, because if you try and stick just custom wings or custom control surfaces just for decoration, they mess with the physics of your vehicle, so that's a pain in the butt. So yeah, this is one example of what's a fun way to use a little blimp Zeppelin, is just to get something up in the air without using power and without it needing to go very fast, and then you can make something like this, and it's very, very nice. So, now we're going to look at the first thing I made, which is a little bit different, and probably the most Zeppelin-y thing of all. So we've got here, simple Zeppelin. I love this thing, because it looks the most like a Zeppelin, and it actually goes quite fast. So, the construction is pretty much exactly the same principle. We're using alloy. So, alloy is probably the best thing to use for a blimp or Zeppelin, because it's overall it is the lightest block there is. There are lighter blocks, but truss blocks don't retain helium, and alloy plates are just, that's too flimsy even for that, and it's a little fiddly to work with. So it's probably alloy. If you really want to cut down the cost and the weight, you can do the same trick I've just shown. You just make the entire thing out of beam slopes instead of actual beams. And yeah, but if you want something that's a little bit more durable, like this thing is, it's just a little bit more durable. Single layer of alloy on the outside, not very durable, but it's got separate layers in there, and it's very nice. So, same basic construction. It's a box with a, well, basically an envelope put around it. So, we've got a compartment in the front, we've got a compartment on the side here, extra pump back there, we've got a lower compartment that also has a helium pump, and we've got fins on the back, and we've got a propulsion thingy on the back. By the way, this is because I'm using, the alloy squared around transition is because I'm using a mod. I didn't actually ever intend to show this thing off in a video, so it uses some modded blocks, and if that offends you, I apologize, but also, if that offends you, you probably need better things to be angry about in your life. So, I love this thing because, well, it looks like a Zeppelin, and it's actually kind of fast, and also still kind of cheap. It's like 50,000 materials, and it's armed with small kinetic missiles, so kinetic EMP and kinetic explosive, so this thing can actually solo a plunderer, and watch me get proven wrong right now, because this thing has a very narrow profile. Please don't blow me up. You blew me up, you bastard. Okay, so this is why helium pumps are a bit of a mixed blessing, because if you get a compartment blown up, that kind of makes a mess. But we still managed to take a hit, and now hit points are equalized. And turns out that something that goes over 80 meters per second in a constant circle is kind of hard to hit. Even with advanced cannons, you'll notice the flak is missing a lot. So yeah, you can actually have functional combat craft with this. In fact, this thing is... wow, this thing's faster than I remember. So yeah, you just have very simple little craft. Nothing amazing, it's basically a big flying cigar. And just pummel something with a little... what is basically guided rockets more than anything else, because those are not very maneuverable missiles. They just fly fast, hit hard, dodge crams. Very, very nice. So I love this thing. And it goes whoosh! Zeppelin goes whoosh. So yeah, it really, like, Zeppelin seem to be a very good starter craft. If, like, you're starting a Nita campaign, and you're starting off against the people of God, and these things are kind of cheap, actually, because, like, you know, all you really need to get them to fly is extra empty space, which really does not cost that much, and they don't need much power to get moving quickly, so let's see how much power this has. It's, like, got 3,000 power, because, let's see, what kind of engines is this thing packing? Not much, it's got these tiny little steam turbines and batteries, which are really convenient, actually, for jamming into tight spaces. And that's it. This thing is mostly empty space. Empty space, missiles, which also means that, weirdly enough, like, you'll notice it took like a cram volley to the belly, or at least 1 or 2 cram shells, and it shrugged it off, and it's already repaired it, so not bad, actually. And it's dishing out quite a bit. Would I take this thing up against a more advanced faction? Absolutely not. Anything with decent advanced cannons would shoot this thing down in short order. But in that case, you just stick an even faster, basically instead of using a propeller, which by the way, only available now for test if you're in the standard branch, you don't have these yet. Just be patient. You'll get them. And if you're watching this in the future, and you if you've got propellers in standard branch, then ignore what I just said because you're already lucky. So yeah, that's another example. And over here we have the final example, which I made just today, which is hilarious. Where is it? It's in the fun ground section. Cram blimp. So missiles is one thing, but does this work with slightly heavier weaponry? And as it turns out, yes it does. This thing is loaded down with cram cannons. In fact, rather inefficient use of cram cannons because it's a broadsider with fixed hull guns pointing in both directions. And this thing, amazing. Maybe it's just because I'm not used to mucking around with airships. I've only recently got back into it. But this thing punches kind of above its weight, and it's quite hilarious. So if we have something like over here... first things first, exact same construction idea. It's got a central box, which has stuff in it. It has AI in here, and lots of general purpose processing power, because I kind of went slightly nutty on the detection. Like, every single cram cannon has its own little detection suite for redundancy purposes. Perhaps that's a little bit silly and ridiculous, but I was feeling lazy, so that's what happened. And yeah, so it's got this central box, then it's got compartments to the fore and the aft and to the left and right. Not so much for this one. Its side compartments are mostly filled with cram cannon, but same idea. You build a box and you build an envelope around it. The envelope has all the important stuff. I mean, the central compartment has all the important stuff, and then everything else is kind of fit in there. Incidentally, this thing also has rather thick side armor, which was completely by accident. So this thing actually takes shots to the side surprisingly well. Again, any decent advanced cannon will shoot this thing down in no problem. And huge advantage of these helium floaty things is that they can stay still, and they can stay airborne, and they don't consume any materials to do that, which is actually kind of useful. So if you want to go full Sky Pirate in From the Depths, which is hugely fun if you don't mind essentially digging through craft trying to find their AI so you can capture it, these actually work kind of well for that. Also, they do have a reverse gear if you use propellers like this. And so yeah, so this thing is fun. They're all fun. I do recommend let's shoot at a warrior, because the warrior is fun to shoot at. So this thing goes roughly 70 meters per second, and then gets into broadside, and then goes to bluey. Yes, I've reinstalled my cram sound mod. And in this case, it missed horribly, because that's what it does. And is it going to dodge cram cannons? Not really. Okay, let's see. How much damage did that do? That did enough damage to knock out a few cram cannons. I don't like that. You're gonna need a revenge. But hey, it took a cram volley and shrugged it off. And then it just returned the favor, which is very, very nice. Also, a mixture of APHE and HE EMP crams. Beautiful, beautiful mix. Redundancy is quite a handy thing to do in From the Depths when making things durable. Turns out airships can be kind of good at it. And AI dead, easy peasy. EMP is a little bit broken at the moment. So yeah, I'm probably going to be sharing these little example Zeppelin airship things on the workshop, but for now, let's build a Scout Zeppelin, just for giggles, and so you can see just how exactly these things work, because they work quite well. Might edit out most of it, but it'll be okay. So, we're gonna be El Cheapo, because again, starter block kind of thing. We're just going to go like so. How big do I want this compartment? Does it need to be too big? This needs to be like so. Let's go like so. Righty-ho then. And we're gonna do, what are we gonna do? We're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3. That's not right. Nope, that's fine. That's actually a bit much. We don't need that much. We don't need that much. We just need this much. There we go. Actually, we do exactly need that much. Interesting. So, this is going to be nice and light. It's going to be nice and cheap. Beautiful scouting option. There's a number of scouting options. You can make spy planes. You can make spy balloons people are quite fond of. And yeah, I think just for giggles as well, we're going to make this thing sail powered. So it doesn't need any form of engines whatsoever. And hello, hello. We can be clever like so. This can be a nice El Cheapo thing. Actually, let's make that a little bit bigger. Let's make this thing like properly like long, because we do want, this thing isn't going to be able to fly very high, but that's okay, because we're going to just stick lots of dishes in here. This thing is going to be like a dishwasher. It's going to have a lot of dish in it. So as you can see, this thing is ridiculously cheap. This thing is already roughly 30 meters long and like really, really damn cheap. So also, it's gonna fly like crazy. Watch this. And our altitude is falling out of the sky. And now our altitude is not falling out of the sky. We are steady at just under 300 meters. This is your captain speaking. Alrighty, so now we've done that, and we can build another envelope around it. We can do something like that. And I like to do that because that's fun and hilarious and cool. This is probably not a bad way of building ships either. It's just you build a central box with everything you want in the ship, and then you just build a frame around it. There's one of my favorite ways of building canoes, surprise, surprise, works exactly like that, and it's quite good. And this even is perhaps a little bit overkill for, in terms of block count, what we want. So let's go here, and I'm going to not stick. Okay, so that's no available volume. That's fine. That's fine, that's fine. I'm going to refrain from sticking a helium pump in the lowest compartment because that'll help keep the thing nice and stable. It means that the most buoyant bit is the bits on the top, and that means it'll stay floating very, very nicely. Alright, so now we've got perhaps a bit much there, so let's remove some of this. Don't need that much. Did I do that right? I think I did that right. Yep. That's all good in the neighborhood. We have a blimp shape. And we could actually be very clever and do something. Ah, yes, we can be very clever and double the amount of dish in here, because dish. Let's go here, dish piece, super cheap. There we go. We've got one strategic antenna. Oops. Now we got two. So we got that. That looks really funky, actually. Look at that. Funky dish piece. Now, there's no way of knowing just until we load it into the campaign how much that actually does, but it's okay. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going to make it super pointy, because pointy is how we roll around here. Since we don't have to worry about this thing getting shot at, we don't need to separate the compartments too much. Just an example build of how to make a little Zeppelin. See, this is fun. I like making stuff to a certain pattern, and that pattern being simple, because I'm lazy. I don't do fancy stuff. I like simple stuff. I'm a simple man with a simple brain, which can only handle so much. And just gonna put some wedges in here. Delicious wedges. And let's make some more delicious wedges, like so. so, like so. Delicious. Whoops. Nah, that's fine. Now this thing should go reasonably swiftly through the air once we stick stuff on it. Because never underestimate aerodynamics. Underestimate aerodynamics at your peril. So it looks a lot like a boat, but that's because it's made of wood. Don't even worry about it. And this thing is also not intended to get shot at. It's just intended to be a scout blimp. And I'm probably going to use it in a campaign eventually. And this is one of the reasons I love building things that are the same at the front and back. Very simple. And the thing is hovering at about, yeah, 275. That seems to be the current altitude limit for a helium blimp type thing. Is this a bit much? No available volume. Duplicated pump. Well, in that case, we can just do this. And we can do this. Then we can actually seal this off, which is very nice. Helium pump. Whoop. We could seal this off entirely, actually. In fact, I will do that just to show you how. And never mind all the leaky bits. It's actually fine. Why do we have a double... Do we have a double layer down here? We do not. That's fine then. It's A-okay. Nobody panic. Nobody panic. This is much cost-saving little slopage here. I love slopes. I love slopes. That's why the slope mod is one of my favorite things. Alright, so let's just stick that there. Is that a duplicated pump? No, it is not. 270 meters up in the air is about as high as... Whoop! Nope, never mind. There we go. We can go a little bit higher. We can go a little bit higher. Alright, so now we're also just going to just carefully sneak some... We're going to firstly put some roll control on this ahead of time. Just because that's a good idea. Ailerons. So I usually use... let's see, where is it? I usually use naval AI with these things because, you know, they don't really need to worry about their altitude so much. If you want to be clever, you can do all kinds of things to make them correct themselves, so to speak. Let's go. Let's see. Let's go there. And now we get to do this thing, which is my favorite thing. I have a lot of favorites. Actually, no. Let's do this instead. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not that. Oh no, I don't want to do that. That would break my streak. It would break my winning streak. Alright, pitch control. Only back there. You can use the other thing that works better, but we're being lazy right now. In fact, I'm going to just quickly... Control-Shift-X makes a deco shortcut, just in case anyone was confused about that. Yeah, we could keep going, actually. 2, 3, 4. And let's be real cute. Let's be real cute and do this. No real need to do it, but you know what? We're having fun. And that's what video games are for. Crazy thought, right? Having fun. Okay, and now we can get really cute and do this. Make a little prefab. Like so. Ta-da! That's probably not super great, but it's okay. And now let us make fins. just for giggles, we're going to make slightly different fins. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to do... Oh, no. We're going to do that. Yes, we is. Going to have a delicious wedge, potato wedge. And now, we're going to do this thing. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We go here and yaw only, because why not? Do this trick again. Now we can prefab this entire thing. Wow, I like these fins actually. They're silly fins. They're silly, but I like them anyway. Alas, we're gonna have to actually stick a beam in here. Ah, we were doing so well with the slopes. Just have to be careful to do this now. Actually, I'll need to do this. Oops. There we go. Always mind the warning text. So this thing is going zip, zip, zip. Right, now this thing needs propulsion. And I've just changed my mind. Let's not, just for fun, we're not going to make this thing sail-powered. We're going to stick a propeller on here. Lovely little propeller, which will make it more expensive, but it should also make it faster. Alright, where can I stick some engines in here is the question. I can stick them somewhere. I'll stick them in the bottom where there's some room and there's no helium pumps. It's all good. Righty-ho then, I know what to do. I know what to do. I'm wearing shoes. That rhymes. Okay, engine, steam. I do use a lot of prefabs because prefabs are a wonderful way to save time. Absolutely wonderful. Do recommend. Never leave home without your prefabs. Very important. And let's just put a few more there. Now we got resources, electric engine, and we're just gonna have one of these. And we do need material storage because that's important. So I'm just gonna have 1, 2, 3. Whoops, I have been painting everything in the wrong color. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, there we go. I could easily make this thing RTG powered, but that makes it expensive, so... Also, it's like no harm. I could stick something in the compartment back there, but I'm not going to. So now we can just stick the propeller on here, because that's hilarious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see, and the clearance for this is probably not going to be super good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And clearance is actually 80%. It's pretty good. So this thing uses a lot of power. So we're going to dial that back considerably. Let's see how much power you use now. 218. How about that? 328. That'll do nicely. And now extra configuration. We're going to set that to red setter because that's very nice. And we need to put a chair on this. Just for funsies. and chair, and vehicle controller, and delicious wedges just because. So now we have that, and now we can go here, and this doesn't matter because it's not ever going to get in a fight anyway. Shipboard tank, and then in air, 200, 200, 280. Now let us send you
moving
on
and
a journey.
fly with fleet.
And even with a somewhat unpowered propeller, scooting along at 55 meters per second, and oh, that engine, that resource drain, not much. Let's go here and let's. Aha, interesting. Now let's change the color a little bit. Let's make this white. Ah, no, that's paint 5. Dang it. No, let's make it black. Spy plane. Because this technically is a spy plane. Oh, yes! Why is that white now? Oh, wow. I found a bug. I have found a bug. Well then. Oh, that's why. Okay. Alrighty, now we're just going to put some eyeballs on this thing, because why not? There we go, eyeballs. And just quickly some teeth. Got a little snaggle tooth in the front there. Nothing fancy, we're just gonna do that. And voila. Voila indeed. There, and I've just made a little Zeppelin. Little scout Zeppelin. Doing scout Zeppelin things. And it's less than 10,000 materials. It sips at materials like no one's business. And I can tell it to stop anytime I like. I like this thing. Wow, see, it's just like... It's so nice when you just figure out a pattern of making something that just works so nicely. And let's keep going. And I'm gonna save this. I'm actually gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for later. Is... Spy blimp. There we go. Spy blimp. This is actually probably... Hang on, let's go look at our support aircraft. Yeah, this is actually... Yeah, it's cheaper than the spy plane I tended to use for the most part. So yeah, you could do, like, it's not hard to make blimps, not hard to make Zeppelins. Very nice, very, very nice. Anyway, I hope that was the right mixture of entertaining and educational. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps, and there's fun perks in it for you. Thank you to all my current supporters, and I will see you next time in From the Depths. Farewell.